Hi, viewers. Good evening. Today's subject is regarding Islam and slavery. A lot of people ask me this question when the Islam was introduced and the slavery has been abolished or vanished or gone away. This is not true, actually, because after Islam came in, and it's gone bigger, and it's got actually worse and out of control. The slavery never stopped since last 10,000 years. Till 1850, when the European denounced it, but it was actually still going on till today. But let me explain that. When Muhammad came in, peace be upon him, the Prophet Muhammad said that we abolished the slave, but in the 7th century, all the countries, the economy mainly rely on slavery, and it was deep-rooted, entrenched and embedded in the society, and it was impossible to finish it. So instead of finishing it, it was reformed in Islamic ways, but these reforms were introduced. So Muhammad has advised that it should be abolished, but it never been abolished. The economical reason was so entrenched and so deep. It's like, say, if you have a chieftain, you have a tribal leader, and you're looking for alliances, and the tribal leader has probably thousands of slaves at that time, and you're telling him that I'm abolishing slavery today, his whole empire is going to collapse, obviously, and he's not going to align with you. He's going to align with your enemy. It's not going to benefit them as such. So after the Muhammad death, the slavery basically has gone worse, and the slaves, lots of empires were collapsing. The Persian Empire surrendered, and then Byzantine Empire surrendered, the Roman Empire surrendered. So lots of slaves came through these empires, and they were taken over by these tribal leaders within slavery and slave trade. So basically, they were used as soldiers in agriculture and other areas of the economy. So pre-industrial revolution, there were no machines and slaves were needed for all these jobs. So if you wanted to invade, there's territorial expansionism after the Islamic Jihad. You want to invade a country, you need soldiers, obviously. So soldiers need incentive or salaries. There were no salary or pension at that time. So you're going to tell the soldier or tribal leader, we will invade this village or this country as a pillager or jihadis or whatever. Then we will get war booty, which is male ghanima. War booty could be land, profit, women, children, and all these people were booty basically. So they were converted into Islam, and they were kept as concubines, and these children were raised as soldiers. So slavery never ended basically. It's gone worse and out of control. So what happened basically during Islamic and Muhammad preachings, there were reforms were introduced as compared to Roman slave, or let's say slaves in America in 1850s. The Islamic slavery system was different, and the slaves were given rights. They can marry, and they can see their families, and you have to treat the slave with politeness and kindness. This was Muhammad's recommendations, and some were followed, but obviously not all of these were followed. Let's be very fair about it and be frank about it. So Muhammad said that you have to treat the slaves as human beings and give them equal rights, and they can buy property as well. As compared to Western slavery or Roman slavery, this wasn't true. The slaves' lives was very, very bad. So in this situation, because of this concubine system, we have slave dynasty in Islamic empires as well. The Mamluks in Egypt was slave dynasty. Let's say there was a Khalifa and Caliph or king, and he doesn't have children from his legitimate wife, and he had a child, a son from a concubine. Then that concubine was chosen as a prince and the Khalifa. So the slave dynasty was born. And same was done in India with the Sultanate of Delhi. There was slave dynasty as well, Khandani-e-Ghulama. So basically, the whole point of this lecture or debate is the slavery never ended after Islam or pre-Islamic and after Islamic revolution. The slavery was proper systematic, and it was quite deep and entrenched in the system, in the society, and we still have slaves. But when you compare it with Western slavery, all the Western slaves were black and Africans, but Islamic slaves, they were kind of all sorts of multicultural slaves. And Turkish, they have the Ottoman Empire invaded Europe. There were some white slaves as well. The Janissary, the special forces, were slaves as well, and they were kidnapped, the children, whenever they win a war. The women and children separated, and they were incorporated in the army as Janissary or special forces. And they basically they went up on the rank, and some of them all joined the royal family. But you think of Western slavery, that was unthinkable. That standard was very, very high. Like in Islamic time, the slaves were given special status. Apart from this, Muhammad also said that if you free a slave, you will go to paradise. Different incentives were introduced for treating slaves. And let's say if you were involved in manslaughter, and you have killed someone, and there is a jirga or junta there, and the judiciary decided, the tribal judiciary decided that, well, you have to free that many slaves in compensation. So people used to free a lot of slaves in Islamic time, and this used to be seen as a higher social status among the people. And they said, this person in the society has freed so that many slaves. As compared to Western slavery and slave system, the black people were mainly, they were kidnapped from Africa and brought to America and Caribbeans and all these countries. So the black people were specifically targeted in the West because of the skin color. The Islamic slavery was different. If they find out in America, they find out if the slave wants to educate himself or want to read and write, the punishment was death. They used to kill them straight away or feed them they try to escape. They will catch them, capture them, and feed it to the dog. And there was some flogging and all these sort of things happening. But Islamic slavery, obviously there were good people, there were bad people as well during Islamic Empire and Islamic time. And not all the slaves were treated equally. Obviously, there was no salary system. That's a fact. And there was a Sparta-like revolution during Islamic time. It's called Zanji. If you Google it, Zanji revolution, where there was a slave, and he, like similar to Sparta, and he led the revolution against the Abbasi Caliphate because of the mistreatment of slaves. So the moral of the story is, do not get confused that Islam have abolished the slavery. It was recommended by Prophet Muhammad, but it's never been followed. Like today, the 5% Muslims only follow the 5% of the religion, and 95% is just, if something suits them, they follow it. But if something against their interest, they never follow. They just binny, that part of the. I mean, Islam is just it's restricted to halal chicken, and that's it. That's their understanding. Even in takeaways, you get £6 an hour. There's 13 national minimum wage is 13 or something, 11 or something. But in these takeaways, they're highly religious people. They just give you £6 an hour and cash in hand. And you're a slave to the system. What's going to do today? We are wage slaves as well. The slavery didn't vanish. It's just transform and change different faces. So if someone asks you that Islam abolished slavery, the answer is obviously no. It's a big no. But recommended, yes. Reforms were brought in, by the slave status were given. They can buy property. You have to treat them nicely. And it's compulsory that you have to be nice with the slave, but it wasn't abolished, because if you have abolished it, the whole economy would have collapsed. Everyone was in agriculture, and the slaves were needed in the system, and the war was going on. There were a lot of territory was taken over, and they have war booties, and all these slaves were involved in agriculture and care and other sort of activities. So in a nutshell, no. But their status was reformed, yes. This confusion continues in America as well. A lot of black people converted to Islam. When Haji told them that the Islam have abolished slavery, but it wasn't true. It was never been abolished, and it will still continue. The British abolished it in 1850, but then it's still different forms. But thank you for sharing this information. Thanks for watching my channel. If you have any comments, and please drop your comment.